Hey Mama, welcome to the One Income Family Podcast. As we have just started the month of November, I thought that this would be a great time to introduce a no spending challenge. Now, whether you have already been saving up money throughout the year and are looking for maybe just a little bit of a cushion for the holidays, or haven't started saving at all, this is a great way to get some cash for both Thanksgiving and Christmas. So grab your headphones, maybe a festive drink, and let's dive in. Do you find it hard to save or get out of debt? Are you constantly searching for ways to save money and live on a budget? Do you have big dreams only to be stopped by not sticking to your budget? Are you ready for financial freedom? Then you, Mama, are in the right place. Welcome to the One Income Family Podcast, where you will learn what it looks like to budget on one income, how to partner with God in your finances, how to budget in a way that's easy to stick to, and how to cut costs and save money, all so that you can start building wealth. It is my mission to equip you with these tools so that you can live in abundance regardless of the amount in your account. Hey, I'm Molly, a budget coach for stay-at-home moms, and I know what it's like to struggle on one income. I've lived paycheck to paycheck, relied on being frugal, and failed many budgets until I learned how to budget without tracking. This has allowed my family to pay off debt and build wealth all on one income. So, if you are ready for financial freedom, then go grab that stroller, plug in those headphones, and let's get to it. Alrighty, so before we get going, this is a great time to let you know, if you don't already, that there is a wonderful community of mamas just like you getting more support with their budgets on the free Facebook group called the One Income Family Community. Or if you don't use Facebook, you can get that same support and be the first to know when fun things are happening when you become an insider. So to become an insider, all you have to do is go to bit.ly/the One Income Family Insider. And to join the community, go to bit.ly/the One Income Family Community. This is a great time to join the family, as in this episode, I am introducing a no spend challenge, and I don't want you to do it alone. So let's join together and help each other through this challenge, because pausing your spending, it's not an easy thing to do. So join the community so that we can cheer you on and you can get your questions answered. Again, to become an insider, go to bit.ly/the One Income Family Insider. And to join the community, go to bit.ly/the One Income Family Community. If you didn't get those, you can also find the links in the show notes. And I cannot wait to do this challenge with you. Let's get to it. Alrighty, so if you are here, you probably haven't started saving for Christmas, as in long term, right? That is the goal, and that's what I want you to do. And come January, that's what I'm going to maybe put an episode out to help encourage you to start doing that, right? But it's not generally a reality or something that we think of when we first start budgeting, right? When we don't really know what we're supposed to be budgeting for or saving for or how to save for it. I know I've put some episodes out there, but again, if you're new to this channel, then it's not something that you've thought about. And I want you to know there's no fault in that. And that's why I am doing this episode, so that you can find some Christmas money, some actual physical cash that you have that isn't going to stress you out because you're trying to find this Christmas money out of thin air come December, right? That's usually when we revert to credit cards, which then can put us into a strong, difficult situation. And then it also can put us into a hard financial situation by not buying the groceries we need or not being able to pay for the bills that we need to pay for, right? Our needs can sometimes become a little loosey-goosey per se, because we want so badly to, be able to create this big elaborate Christmas for our kids. And, it's not always about the money. Now I can go down that rabbit hole later, but I really want you to maybe start right now to get yourself into a better financial situation come December so that you're not struggling to figure out where this money is coming from, for the holiday season, right? So, I am introducing a no spend challenge. Now, yes, I did say no spend November in the title just because I thought that was a little more catchy. But you can do this whenever. It doesn't have to just be for November. It doesn't have to just be for Christmas. You can do this no spend challenge whenever a situation arises where you feel like you need some quick cash and you don't know where it's going to come from, right? That just means that we're going to cut back all of our spending, or as much as we want to. I'll get into that a little bit later. Just so that you can find some money that you need to maybe pay for that wedding that randomly popped up out of nowhere, or go to a vacation spot that maybe you need to just get away from the house for a second, right? Or maybe a bill came up, like a doctor's bill, and you need to get it paid for. Like, this is a way that you can get that quick cash without having to really struggle and revert to credit cards, because those credit cards, it's just a slippery slope. It's just something that catches you and you just keep going down into it and you get stuck in it. And then you're paying high interest for who knows how long, right? And so I don't want you to have to go there. Again, that's a slippery slope of conversation that I could go down, but I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm going to try to stay on point today. But I want you to be able to have a system that you can revert to in order to get some quick cash whenever you need it, right? Because that is exactly what this is for. So what you have to do is pretty simple and straightforward, and we're going to get into that right now. So the first thing, and you're obviously going to be like, oh my gosh, yes, I know this, but it's so important, and that is to pray. That is to make sure that God guides your heart, guides your actions to know what it is that you need to cut from the budget and what it is that you need to keep in the budget, right? That is so important to have God on your side, because otherwise you can cut things and you can try to do this and it just won't work because you're trying to do it in your own strength instead of letting God help you and push you through it and be your motivator, right? Another thing that I want to make sure that you do first and foremost is make sure that your husband is on board, or your wife if you're listening, husbands. I really want to make sure that you are a team with this, and that you're not just trying to push something on your husband or your wife because you think it's a good thing to do, but they may not want to do it, right? So make sure that your husband or your wife is on board. Now, with that being said, that doesn't mean that you can't do the no spend challenge. It just means that you have to do it in different ways, right? And I will talk about both ways. So don't worry. I'm not just going to be like, oh, no, with your husband on board is the only way you can do it, right? No, I will let you know how you can do it both ways. So the first thing that you want to do is, I want to stress how important this is, and that is to make sure you have a separate account that you can transfer your funds to as soon as you have them, right? I want you to get that out of your spending account, out of the account that you use all the time, that you look at and you know that's there, because otherwise you're going to find yourself, as I've mentioned in previous episodes, that when you see it in your account, if you're not great at tracking your finances, you will want to spend it. You will think, hey, it's there. I can buy whatever I feel like buying with an impulse buy, or maybe it's not an impulse buy and you've been thinking about it for a while, but instead of saying, hey, I'm trying to really not spend this month, and instead of remembering that, you find yourself still, because it's a habit, like not spending is really easy to do, right? That was kind of a major double negative there, but you get what I'm trying to say, right? Keeping yourself from spending when you're used to spending is not something that you can just like snap your fingers and be really good at. It's not, and I don't want you to think that it is. So that's why I want you to have boundaries in place. I want you to have systems set up that are going to help you get through the month, or even if you just do it for a week, right? Maybe you do it a week at a time instead of the whole month. That is great. That is a great system. You do what's easiest for you. And that is how you will be able to succeed at this challenge, is by implementing these boundaries, these systems that will help you to keep from spending. And the first thing and the most important thing of this whole system, this whole challenge, is to have a separate account. Be it a savings account, be it a checkings account, it doesn't matter what it is right now. It's just, it needs to be that whole out of sight, out of mind thing. Okay, so then the second thing that I want you to do is work on creating a no-spend budget. So this can be like, if you do it for different times of the year, different seasons in life, it can look different each time. But you need to create a no-spend budget. And what that consists of is your needs, obviously, like your transportation, your housing, your utilities, your food. Those kind of things are the important things that need to be covered, right? But the things that are a little less, I don't want to say important, but they're not like a make it or break it kind of thing. Those are the things that you can start cutting from your budget if you so decide. So I want to make sure that you understand this is not a cut everything and go with it. If that's what you want to do, if you think that you can cut everything and you can do your best to quit cold turkey, then have at it. I am so there for that. That's the way I would do the no spend challenge, but I have been doing this for a while. And I'm also a saver. So it's really easy for me not to spend money, right? Plus, I don't go to town very often. And so I don't have to worry about spending that money as like maybe you do when you're in town. Maybe you live in town. And so it's really easy for you just to walk down the street and maybe get a coffee that you want kind of thing, right? And so that's why it may be easier for me, but not for you. And that's why I really want to stress that when you decide what it is that you want to cut from your budget, it's totally your choice. It does not have to be an all or nothing thing. It just needs to be what you're comfortable with. So some things that I would recommend that you could try to cut is coffees, going out and getting your coffees, subscriptions, gym memberships, maybe you're spending money if that's something that you think you'd be okay with doing, eating out, maybe haircuts and makeup. The list is endless. I just tried to say list and endless together and it came out ist. But the list is endless. You can choose whatever you want. Maybe there's some bills that you could cut because they're not necessities, right? That's kind of where the subscriptions and the memberships come from. Or maybe there's like a way you could cut down on some of your insurance. I know that's a little bit more of a deep dive into figuring out how to do that, right? Or maybe you can cut back a little bit on how much you're putting towards your debt. Like maybe a goal of yours is to pay off some debt and you want some quick cash, and so you don't put that money towards your debt. But I don't want you to get into the habit of that, right? I don't want you to think, okay, this is where I can pull that money from. Now, sometimes, that is the thing that's going to have to be pulled from when life happens, right? But I want you to make sure that you understand that this is just a one-time goal, and you need to make sure which goal is more important. Is it getting your Christmas money built up? Is that more important than getting your debt paid off? Or is your debt trump that, right? You need to figure out which is more of a priority. Now, like I said, this does not have to be only for Christmas money. You could do this if you're trying to save up for your emergency fund, right? In that instance, I would say yes, your emergency fund money that you're trying to save up as quickly as possible does trump your debt, right? But does your Christmas money trump your debt? Like, where are you on that level? That is what you really need to think about. Which is more important? And does cutting money from that, or cutting back a little bit, is that going to affect you personally? Do you want more money for your Christmas? Is there a way maybe you could make your Christmas a little less expensive and just do more fun and cheap things, right? So that is one thing that you really need to decide, is prioritize. Like, what is more important? What can be cut out? What should be cut out? And then create that budget based off of that, but also run it by your husband. Let him decide, well, not decide, but talk with you, help you to decide what is more important, right? Instead of trying to do it by yourself. Like, sit down, talk. Maybe you go through and you create the budget, and then you just run it by him and see what he thinks. See if he is going to stress over that, if it's going to be difficult on him. But then, even if you do have this really elaborate budget that does cut out almost everything. So for instance, what I would do in my budget, let me get it pulled up, is I would probably cut out my spending. I'd probably cut out my husband's spending. I would probably cut out for Christmas, maybe my sinking funds for like school supplies or family activities, clothes. I wouldn't cut my Christmas sinking fund because obviously I'm trying to get some more Christmas money, right? But those are some things that I would cut. Then I would also probably cut my vitamin subscription, because I have enough built up that I probably don't need it for that month. I would probably cut my, where is it at? TV bundle, my Hulu subscription for a month. I'd pause it for a month. And then I would do things like for my groceries and gas, I would buy everything that needs to be done first and foremost, and then try to just challenge myself to not spend as much in the groceries and gas section. And then come the next payday, I can transfer what I didn't spend into that account, right? So that's another way. If you have a situation where your husband isn't on board, challenge yourself in the categories that you do have control of, like your groceries, maybe you're eating out, that kind of stuff. If you have more control over that and your husband is less hands-on on that, then maybe you just try to focus on cutting back as much as you can. Maybe find some recipes that only have like 3 ingredients for that month, right? That doesn't mean that they're not going to be great meals, but it means that there's going to be less cost on it. So challenge yourself in those areas maybe, and then you can find a no spend way, like you don't spend your own spending money, or maybe your groceries, you try to figure out how to cut back on that. Your gas, maybe you just not go places very often during this season, right? You try to stay home as much as possible so that you can maybe only use 1 tank of gas. Maybe challenge yourself, like, what can I do with only 1 tank of gas? And don't get so stressed over it that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to go there because I only want 1 tank of gas. No, that is going to stress you out. I don't want you to go there. But I do want you to challenge yourself and see if you're able to maybe spend a little less in those areas. So then from there, after you've created this no spend budget, I want you to really focus on the things that you've cut out, because you need to create a plan of what you're going to do in place of those things. And what I mean is, it's really hard to quit cold turkey. So if you're used to buying a coffee like every week or maybe every day, if that's something that you do, then find something to replace it with. Maybe you start making your own coffee at home. And I don't just mean like the type of coffee where it's black and it's something that you don't like and it's nasty, because I personally do not like black coffee. But like maybe you could do a Keurig. I don't know if that's any cheaper, right? Or maybe there's another way that you can find on Pinterest, or I guess there's a new thing called Lemonade. You could check that out too. Or YouTube. Find some places that you like to search for things and find some great coffee like things that you can make at home, right? Your subscriptions, if you decide to cut like TV, what are you going to do instead of watching TV? Are you going to dive into maybe some books? Are you going to start playing board games with your family? There are so many things you can do instead. Go on walks, go to the park. I know it's going to be cold because it is that time of the year, but it's still like there are things that you can do. You don't have to be bored and holed up in your house. Maybe you and your family color together. I know I personally love to color in a coloring book, and I haven't done that in a while, and I think that would be so much fun, right? And that would be so much cheaper than like the TV subscriptions that I do. My vitamins, I don't have to cut them out completely, but like I said, I have a good stock already in my drawer that I probably don't have to get a November subscription. I could pause it for a month. My spending money, I don't have to worry about my spending money because I don't go out very often, right? That's usually reserved for when I go to town by myself, and then I'm like, okay, I don't have to get everybody else something, so I just get myself a treat. And that does not happen very often. Eating out, maybe you just challenge yourself to make something every single time, even when you go, well, I say when you go to town because I'm thinking like you live like I do, which is out in the middle of nowhere, which is what other people consider it. I don't think it's that far out. There are other people that live much further than I do, away from big towns, right? But I digress. My point is that you could still, even if you don't live far away from town, if you still just live in town, instead of going out to eat when you know that you're going to be away from home for a while, you could pack yourself a lunch, right? Take lunch with you. Challenge yourself to figure out a plan as to what you're going to do in place of the things that you would normally do if that's what you decide to cut out of the budget. As I've already said, it is so hard to quit cold turkey, and that's essentially what you would be doing in this situation. And that's why it is a challenge, and no, you're not going to be perfect at it. But again, if you put these boundaries in place, and then you go and you create a plan in place of the things that you've decided to cut from your budget with something else that you can do that's cheaper or maybe isn't like expensive at all, like something that is free, but it's still a different activity that you are replacing what you would normally do. Now, again, it's not going to be easy. You're not going to quickly think of these things. So make sure that you have them at like an easy place where you can get to them. So maybe on your phone, in your notes somewhere, you'd be like, okay, this is what I do when I don't want to do this. And who knows, maybe you'll figure out that you enjoy doing whatever it is that you decided to do instead of the things that you are using your money for, right? And that it can be a great like eye opener and something that you just find that's more like either relaxing or something you enjoy more, it's more fun. That can be a great thing to realize from this challenge as well. So the first thing, again, we're going to go through this, is I want you to make sure that you obviously pray and that you make sure that your husband is on board so that you know if he is on board, you know how to set it up. If he's not on board, you know where you can cut from and where you can't cut from, right? Then you need to create your no-spend budget. And this can be something that you just make a normal, like you copy your normal budget that you do. And you just go through and take out the things that you feel you are able to take out or you should take out, and then create a plan for those things that you decided to take out so that you're not feeling restricted, so that you're not feeling like what is that word? Kind of, it's almost like an addiction, right? You're so used to doing something that it's habit. And you're like going through essentially withdrawal, I guess. And you just really find yourself being pulled back to these things. And it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. You know, it just depends on whatever it is that you decide to cut out. And I want you to know, because of that pull, that strong pull, if you're not good at making sure that you have something to compensate for the thing that you have taken out, you will go back to that. I I'm not going to say that you're going to be able to get through this really easily, and I'm not going to say that it's going to be super hard. It's going to be different for each one of us, and we might fail. You probably will fail at one of the categories, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to achieve your end goal, which is having some money at the end of the month to be able to put towards Christmas, right? Or whatever your no spend goal is. And then your next step is simply to implement your plan. Transfer your money as soon as you sit down to do your budget, right? That is the most important part of this. Well, I can't say it's the most important part of the whole thing, right? But it is the most important part of implementing the plan. Because if you just let it sit there, as I've already talked about at the beginning when I said to make sure you have a separate account, because if it's just sitting there, you're going to think that you can use it on whatever you want, and you're not going to remember as easily that you're doing a no spend challenge, and then you're going to kick yourself in the butt when you get home and say, shoot, I wasn't supposed to buy that. Now, maybe if you are on top of it, you might take it back, but most of the time that's not the case, right? And so if you have that boundary in place and you put the system in place where you transfer the money right then and there on payday, then you know that that money isn't there. You don't see it. And when you don't see it in your account, you don't spend it. And that is a big part of this plan is if you don't see it, then you don't spend it, and it's really going to help you. But again, that does not mean that you aren't going to fall off the wagon, right? But it will still help you and keep you from using that money without thought, right? When you transfer it right then and there on payday and you want to buy something, that means you have to transfer it back out of that account. And if you're using a savings account, there is a limited amount of times you can transfer from that account, right? Without a penalty. And so that is why having that right there is going to help you think. It's going to be okay, if I want to buy this thing, it means I have to take money. I have to physically move money out of my goal, which is to save money for Christmas, and put it into my account so that I can buy the thing that I want right now. Is that more important? It brings thought back into your brain, and it helps you to really decide whether you should or shouldn't buy the thing, or whether you actually want to, right? And that is so helpful. Maybe you do still want to buy the thing, but instead of buying it right then and there, you're able to say, well, this is still more of a priority. So after this season is over, come January, I'm going to buy the thing, right? That doesn't mean that you can't get the thing. It just means that you're going to put it on pause and you're going to wait until you have the money to do it. And I don't say have the money because you don't have the money. I just say have the money because then your no spend challenge is going to be over, and you can put that money back in your spending account, in your grocery account, and all that kind of stuff that maybe you cut back on, and buy the thing without being okay, this is taking away from my goal. Your goal is then going to be more important than your impulse spending, right? So that is what I really hope that you take from this. And then come the end of the month, you will have some money to put towards Christmas that will keep you from using your credit cards, and it will keep you from using the money that is needed for your necessities come December. Now, if you want to, challenge yourself to do this for both November and December, but then just be okay to use it for holiday activities. Just make sure that you plan it out, right? The next step after doing this is to create your Christmas budget so that you know how much money you need. And then as December comes along and you're maybe still in the no spend phase of your normal things, you can then use that money for your budget to put it into your budget and buy the things that you need for Christmas, right? Now, that is a whole different episode. And if it's something that you do want to hear about, come over to the Facebook group and let me know, or shoot me an email so that I can maybe walk you through that, because I don't think I'm going to do an episode on that this year. but maybe we will come the end of the month. I don't know. I don't have that planned out. But I do want you to know that there are so many different ways you can do things and that it's not set in stone. So definitely, I challenge you to this challenge, right? Come over to the Facebook group. Let's do it together. Let's do a no spin challenge together and see how it works. See how much money you're able to, AKA, save up for Christmas, right? Or whatever goal you have in plan. Because like I said, this works for many things, not just for Christmas, but I just deemed it was appropriate for Christmas right now, as a lot of us don't have money saved up for Christmas, right? And so I really want you to be able to have the money to cover your Christmas costs without having to use your credit card or putting yourself in a financial struggle for the month of December. So definitely put this plan in place as fast as you can, right? Bring your plan. Like, make a Christmas no spend budget or a November no spend budget and bring it to the Facebook group or shoot it to me in an email, and let's go over it together so that we can work on it, get it flashed out as to what really is going to get you through it. Maybe make plans together as to how you can replace the things that you cut out, right? And then you don't have to do it by yourself. I know sometimes it can be really intimidating to do these things by yourself, and I don't want that to be the case. So let me support you. If you're in Facebook, let the other Facebook group members support you, and let's get through this no spend challenge so that you have the money that you want to do or want to have for Christmas, right? So that you can fund your Christmas account without using a credit card, because that is my ultimate goal for you. Okay, so you can join the community by going to bit.ly/the One Income Family Community. Or if you'd like to email me, all you have to do is go to mollybennell@gmail.com. So if you didn't catch those, the links are in the show notes. And with that being said, I pray that this no spend challenge blesses you, that it stretches you and grows you, and you realize what you're actually capable of doing when it comes to your finances. So with that being said, I will see you right back here next Tuesday on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast. Before you go, I hope this episode has ignited a fire inside of you, and I pray that it creates long-lasting impact. Did you know that you too can impact other one-income families? All you have to do is leave a written review, and you help get the podcast in the hands of other mamas in need. You can also text this episode to that friend who is also knee-deep in the same kind of chaos as you and inspire them to make a change. Also, your review lets me know that you're enjoying the show, and that lights me up. I get so excited to hear from you. Another great way that we can connect, though, is through the One Income Family community over on Facebook. So after you're done leaving that 5-star review, head on over to the community where you will find other mamas working their way out of the chaos. You can ask your questions and connect with others who truly understand what you are going through. I cannot wait to connect with you in the community. Until then, I will see you right here next week on another episode of the One Income Family Podcast.